It's been 3 weeks since the eclipse. 3 weeks since the entire world was plunged into chaos. 3 weeks since Ren gave up his life to try and save everyone. He never returned. And for all accounts and purposes, he was presumed dead. Yet somehow, in the aftermath of the destruction wrought upon the world by the Star Eater, every kingdom seemed to unite briefly under a banner of mourning, united in their grief at the loss of the young man who gave his life to try and stop the apocalypse. Statues were erected in his honor. Poems were sung of his sacrifice. Flags flew at half-staff. And Celine, his fiancée and the guardian of the Isles, was crowned with a wreath of stars, the symbol of peace that had become synonymous with Ren and his sacrifice. But behind the scenes, the girl known as Celine, the Lunar Queen, was empty. Her crown felt heavy on her head, and her heart felt like shards of ice in her chest. She went through the motions of her daily duties, but wasn't really there. She couldn't be there, for while Ren's body might have decomposed in the grave and turned to dust, his soul was very much alive and trapped in the astral divide, a ghostly mirror image of the world he once knew, where he walked among the echoes of the past and the phantoms of the future. And it was there in this realm that Ren awoke with no memory of how he got there. Confused and disoriented, he sat up and looked around. The landscape was alien and beautiful, like a dream. And as he tried to make sense of what was happening, he heard a voice. "You sacrificed yourself for the world. For a moment, you became one with the star and turned the tide of battle. You saved us all, Ren." He turned to see a tall, slender figure with skin like alabaster and eyes like pools of starlight. His long flowing hair was the color of twilight, and his robes shimmered with an otherworldly glow. He carried a bow and quiver of arrows, and an ethereal aura surrounded him, giving him the air of a spirit, a protector, a guide. "Who are you?" Ren asked cautiously. "My name is Orion. I am one of the few who remain of the Watchers, those who have been tasked with guarding the balance between light and dark. I am here to help you," Orion said, stepping closer. "But first, you must understand what has happened to you." He gestured to the world around them, which seemed to shimmer and fade like a mirage. "This is the Astral Divide, a place where souls linger between life and death. When you died, your body was returned to the earth, but your spirit remained, drawn back to the star that you had become one with in your final moments." Ren frowned, confused. "I don't understand. What does it mean? How did I die? Where's Celine?" Orion shook his head sadly. "You have sacrificed yourself, Ren. You saved the world, but in doing so, you also severed your ties to it. You gave up your life to try and stop the Star Eater, the ancient evil that threatened to consume our world in darkness. But now you find yourself trapped here, unable to move on or return." Ren felt a surge of panic. He needed to get back to Celine. He needed to tell her that he was okay, that he loved her, that he would always love her. But how could he do that if he was stuck in this strange place? As if sensing his turmoil, Orion spoke again. "There is a way to return, Ren. If you conquer your shadow and claim your light, then you can move on and find peace. But be warned, it will not be easy. Your shadow self has grown strong in your absence. It feeds on your regrets and fears, and it is determined to keep you trapped here forever." Before Ren could ask any more questions, a blinding white light filled the astral divide, and the ground beneath them rumbled violently. A crack appeared in the sky, jagged and black like a gaping wound, and from it came a chorus of anguished screams that echoed through the astral divide, shaking it to its core. Startled, Ren instinctively reached out to Orion, but the spirit guide shook his head, his eyes filled with urgency. "You must go now. I will hold off your shadow self. Try and remember who you are, Ren. Remember the love that guides you, the light that shines within you. That is your strength. That is what will help you return." With those words, Orion drew back his bow, and an arrow of pure starlight formed in his hand. Without another word, he fired. The arrow arced through the air and vanished into the crack in the sky. Then, with a deafening roar, it exploded. And from the heart of the explosion, Orion stepped, his form shimmering like stardust. "Go now, Ren," he urged, his voice echoing with power. "Conquer your shadow and bring light back to the world. Save us all." As Orion disappeared, the crack in the sky widened, revealing a swirling vortex of energy that beckoned to Ren. Taking a deep breath, Ren stepped forward and plunged into the unknown, hoping that whatever lay on the other side would lead him home to Selene. Back in Ilarion, Selene stood on the balcony of her castle, gazing at the stars. Her face was pale, her eyes haunted. Beside her stood Lyria, her faithful companion, whose feline features were creased with worry. "Lyria, how much longer?" Selene whispered, her voice hoarse with fatigue. "Will Ren ever return? Is he trapped in that place forever?" Lyria rubbed against Selene's leg, purring softly, but her green eyes were filled with sadness. "The relic's magic is unstable, my queen. Ren's soul may be lost forever." Selene shuddered. She refused to believe that. She refused to accept that Ren was gone, and so she threw herself into training harder than ever before. She sparred with Lyria, honing her reflexes and sharpening her senses. She studied ancient texts, searching for any mention of the astral divide or the shadow self. She meditated for hours, trying to reach out to Ren with her mind. And finally, after days of relentless study, she found what she was looking for. Buried deep within a forgotten tome, she discovered a ritual, a forbidden spell that could open a gate into the astral realm, allowing her to seek out Ren's soul directly. The ritual was dangerous. It required immense concentration and control over her powers. And even then, there was no guarantee that it would work. But Selene didn't care. She was desperate. She would do anything to bring Ren back. She gathered the necessary ingredients for the spell, rare herbs and minerals that hummed with celestial energy. She prepared the sigils and runes that would serve as anchors for the gate, and as the full moon rose high in the sky, bathing the world in silvery light, she began the chant. Her voice echoed through the chamber, rising and falling in a cadence that seemed to shake the very foundations of the castle. The air crackled with energy as the gate began to form, shimmering like heat haze, yet solid enough that Selene could reach out and touch it. Taking a deep breath, Selene stepped through the portal and found herself in the astral divide, the same place where Ren had awakened. But there was no sign of him anywhere. Determined, she began searching, calling out his name, hoping for a response. As she walked, she noticed strange phenomena, glimpses of the past and future, echoes of memories and premonitions of possibilities. She saw Ren as a child, full of wonder and joy. She saw him training with his sword, honing his skills as a warrior. She saw him meeting Selene for the first time and falling in love. These visions filled her with both happiness and sorrow, reminding her of all that they had shared, all that they had fought for, but they also gave her hope, a hope that he was still out there and that she could bring him back. As she continued her search, the landscape began to shift and change, taking on a darker, more sinister tone. The skies grew heavy with storm clouds, and the ground beneath her feet cracked and crumbled. Suddenly, a dark figure emerged from the shadows, tall and imposing, with features that were both familiar and unsettling. It was Ren, yet not Ren. His eyes were filled with a cold, hard light, and his expression was one of utter disdain. He wore his usual clothes, but they were stained and tattered, and his armor was dented and dulled. "So you found me," Ren said, his voice echoing with emptiness. "I was wondering when you would arrive. You shouldn't have come, though. This place is not for the living." Selene stared back at him, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel the power emanating from him, the darkness that clung to him like a shroud. "Ren, is that really you? What has happened to you?" Shadow Ren sneered, his eyes flashing with anger. "I am everything you fear, Selene. every weakness you deny. I am the part of you that you refuse to acknowledge, the darkness that lies dormant within you. As Shadow Ren lunged at Celine, a fierce battle ensued. They exchanged blows, each move mirroring the other. Each attack met with a counterattack. Celine struggled to keep up with Ren's ferocity, his strength, his skill. With every passing moment, she could feel her own darkness rising within her, mirroring his movements, tempting her to give into the shadows. But just when she thought she might be overwhelmed, a vision flashed through her mind. She saw Ren as he had been, full of light and life, full of love and hope. And with that vision, Celine found her strength renewed, her determination strengthened. She fought on, refusing to give up, refusing to let the darkness consume her. In the end, it was Celine who prevailed. With a final surge of power, she struck a blow that sent Shadow Ren reeling, collapsing to his knees, defeated. But as she stood over him victorious, she hesitated. She could feel the pain, the anguish, the despair that emanated from him, and she couldn't bear to destroy him, to extinguish the last remnants of Ren's soul. Instead, she offered him a hand of friendship, of understanding, of love. Ren, come back to me. Come back to the light. Remember who you are. Remember what we have, Selene whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Don't give up. Don't give in to the darkness. I love you. We can save each other. Ren looked up at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of pain and longing, and for a moment, Selene could see a flicker of the old Ren, the boy who had captured her heart, the man who had given his life for the world. And with a final surge of effort, he reached out and took her hand.